What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. It is officially 2025 and I am so excited for what the Lord is doing in my life and what he's doing for each and every single one of you. I pray that you will get to experience the Lord's goodness all 2025 in Jesus' mighty name. So today I wanted to make a video about talking about how to find your purpose in Christ, because I feel like a lot of people, and I was one of them, including myself in this, was feeling lost, was feeling without purpose. And so I wanted to make a video about how you can find your purpose in Christ and what it is that he has called you to do. And so if I look down, my notes are all down here, but I wanted to start off by giving you kind of a little definition as to what it is to walk in purpose with God. This is just a little quick search that I did. And walking in purpose with God means living your life according to the plans and gifts God has given you, actively using your talents and abilities to fulfill the calling he has placed on your life, essentially doing what you were created to do with deep connection to your faith and guidance from God. And I want to read to you real quickly Romans 8:28, which I know a lot of people are familiar with, and it reads, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose." So if you're a follower of Christ, and you're following his ways, just know that he is working everything all good. He's working all good for you right now. He's making all things good on your behalf, according to his purpose. So that means, my friend, you have a purpose. Whether you want to believe it or not, you have a purpose. So how do you find your purpose in Christ? Number one, and most importantly, which I believe we should all be doing, is to pray about it. I'm gonna give you 8 ways. I don't know if I said that or not, but I'm gonna give you 8 ways. So number one is praying about it, asking God to reveal his purpose in your life so that you are sure that it's from him and that you're walking your purpose out that he has for you to your fullest potential. So praying to the Lord and constantly, asking him to reveal it, to see what he has placed in the inside of you, because he gives many of us gifts and talents. That's number one. And I want to read to you Ephesians 2:10, which says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This means we all have purpose because God has created, God has prepared for us to do good works. He has created those good works on the inside of us. So he has placed gifts and talents in each and every single one of us. So number two is ask yourself, what drives you? What makes you happy? What are some things that you know you're passionate about, that make you happy, that you could see yourself doing for the rest of your life and just being fulfilled and being happy and feeling content with? Now make sure you consult with God on this before you get any ideas. And it doesn't have to be anything big or major. Like for some of you, you might be a good cook, you might be good at encouraging people, you might be good at drawing, music, whatever. God will use anything for his glory if it's his will in your life. So you don't have to feel like it has to be this big tangible thing that he has placed on the inside of you. No. Proverbs 19:21 says, "Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails," which brings me into number 3. Make sure that your goals and plans align with God. So sometimes, and I'm guilty of doing this, I've done this many times, we make all these plans in our heart of how everything's going to play out. And then we go ahead and we go do them. And it's chaos, it's stressful. It might work for a little bit, but ultimately it ends up falling apart. And that's because God is like, I didn't tell you to do that. I did not call you to do that. That's not my will for your life. So I'm not in that. And like I said, I've been guilty of doing this. I got an idea in my head and I jumped 10 steps ahead, tried doing it. And it caused me a lot of hardship. And so save yourself the hardship and just make sure that these plans and goals are aligning with God's will over your life. Number 4 is research about your purpose. If you feel like the Lord is putting something on the inside of you, research about it, learn more about it, see how you could be your best version of in this thing that the Lord has placed on the inside of you. When God places ideas and different topics and stuff on the inside of me, I do my research about it. I like to learn more about it, so that I could be more effective in it, right? Because if you don't know anything about this topic that fulfills your purpose, then how can you be your best version of it? How can you be effective, right? And the Lord, he'll place people in your life to show you and lead you and guide you. He'll place the resources in front of you for you to learn whatever it is that he is calling you to do to fulfill your his purpose in your life. And he might place something inside of you that you just have no idea, you have no clue, you don't even know how to get it started. And so research, pray about it. Like I said, he will teach you, he'll provide the resources, he'll provide the people to teach you to do this thing that he has called you to do. And then number 5 is don't get comfortable. I think oftentimes a lot of people get comfortable with where they're at in their life, even though you don't feel happy, even though you don't feel fulfilled, and you don't feel like you're walking with purpose, because you're afraid of stepping into the unknown. You feel like this is all that there is for you, this is how life is meant to be, and the devil is a liar, because that is not true. If you don't feel like you're walking in purpose, you don't feel fulfilled, then that means that you are not walking out in the purpose that the Lord has placed on the inside of you. And so don't be afraid to search it out. I feel like some people, we for the most part have kind of like an idea as to what it is that the Lord has called us to do. And I feel like for some people, you're too afraid to even fulfill your purpose or seek it out, what the Lord has for you, because like I said, you might not feel qualified, you might not feel capable of doing it, but God calls the unqualified. So if he's placing something on the inside of you, go after it, pray about it, and he'll lead you, he'll guide you, he'll show you the steps, he'll show you the path to take. But you gotta be willing to step out of faith and not get comfortable where you're at to fulfill his purpose in your life. Number 6 is steward what he has already placed on the inside of you or in front of you well. So it's oftentimes God doesn't reveal his purpose to us right away. He'll put bits and pieces in front of us to see how we're going to steward those things, and if we're even going to steward those bits and pieces well. Because if we're not even going to steward those pieces that he's put in the inside or in front of us well, then how can he trust us with more? And when he puts the full thing in front of us, how are we going to steward it well if we won't even steward the bits and pieces that he has placed on the inside of us or in front of us well? So making sure that whatever he's already put in front of you, you're stewarding it well, and you're doing it with much grace and joy. Number 7 is planning with God. Just asking him, what are some goals, some small goals that you can start with, because we all have to start somewhere, that you can start with towards fulfilling your purpose. What are some things that you could do? And just consulting with the Lord, asking him, and he'll download it on the inside of you. And for some of you, he might have you behind the scenes, working behind the scenes at first, when it comes to fulfilling your purpose. Some of you, he might have you jump right into it. But wherever he has you, if he has you working behind the scenes, I don't want you to feel like, it's too small of a task or a job, because God has trusted you to do it. He knows that you're the person for it. And, he might just be having you grow in it. If he can trust you behind the scenes, if he can trust you with the small, then he can trust you with much more. So wherever he starts you at, don't feel like it's too big. Don't feel like it's too small. It's right where you need to be at that time. And, as time goes by, he will increase you. He knows all things. So just know that if he has you doing something a certain way, it's because he knows best, and he foresees everything. He knows how everything is going to play out. So just make sure that you trust him. And I don't want you to be afraid if you know what your purpose is, or you have an idea. Don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to go after it and fulfill it, and let the Lord lead you in it. Because like I said, you want to live a life where you're living out your purpose, where you're feeling fulfilled, where you're feeling content. And that doesn't mean that you're always going to have joy in it, right? Because as Christians, as followers of Christ, we will go through tribulations and trials, but you will feel fulfilled in your purpose when you're walking it out. And then number 8, last one, is know that you will impact many people when you fulfill your purpose in Christ, because he all calls us, right, to help people in some sort of extent, no matter what it is that he has called us to do. And so he has certain people attached to you. And so if you don't do what he has called you to do, not only are you delaying your purpose, but you're also delaying other people's. And then you don't want God to have to raise up somebody else in your place because you're too afraid, you don't feel qualified, whatever the case may be that is preventing you from walking out your purpose. You don't want him to have to raise somebody else to do it in your place, right? You want to make sure that you're answering to his call. And then I'll just include this lastly. I feel like for many people, God has placed different talents and gifts in the inside of you. So you might feel a tug in different areas of your life, and that's totally normal. That just means that God has placed multiple things on the inside of you. And it kind of reminds me of the parable of the master that left his servants with the talent. Yeah, I got the amounts wrong. So the first one he gave 5, he got 5 more. The second he gave 2 and he got 2 more. And the last one he gave him 1 and he buried it on the ground. He did nothing with it. And you know, when the master came back, he got mad because he said, you know, you could at least put it in the bank and accrued interest. It's basically saying, like, you know, God places something on the inside of you and you just bury that talent, you do nothing with it. If he can't even trust you to do, if he can't even trust you with that one thing that he's placed on the inside of you, how can he place more stuff on the inside of you? How can he trust you with more? And so God knows everything, so he'll know that certain people, you know, they'll use up all the talents that he gives them. Some people you might have to build up to it. You know, he'll reveal one thing for you, and then as he can trust you with more, he'll give you more and more and more. But if he can't even trust you with the one, how can he trust you with more? So for some of you, like I said, you might feel like he's tugging at different areas in your life and you feel like I have multiple gifts and talents. But as always, make sure to consult with God in those areas and make sure that that is of him. So those are my 8 ways to find your purpose in Christ and fulfill your purpose in Christ and walking out in your purpose. I pray that each and every one of you gets to walk out your purpose in Christ and then you say yes to your calling. And I pray many, many blessings upon your life. God bless each and every single one of you. I love you, but remember, Jesus Christ loves you more.